The intense Babylonian activity in Chatulen during these years can be well combined with accounts describing in Jeremiah 51 verse 59. The interest of the text in Jeremiah is again to give the background for a letter that was sent by the prophet to the exiled Judahite in Babylon. However, for us, this information is unparalleled and very important. הדבר אשר ציווה ירמיהו הנביא את שריה בן נריה בן מחסיה בלכתו את צדקיהו מלך יהודה בבל בשנת הרביעית למלכו ושריה שר מנוחה. Why did King Zedekiah had to go to Babylon in the 4th year of his reign? It's 594, 593 BCE. Even if we will accept the Greek version of this same verse, according to Seraiah, son of Neriah, the son of Machseah, he is the brother of Baruch, the prophet scribe, who was the officer of the resting palace, Menucha, or, according to the Greek text, officer of the tribute gifts, Mincha. Why he was sent to Babylon and not the king himself? I would assume that the act was in order to renew the pledge of fealty, or to deliver a report about conditions in the region on the background of all this instability in the region. Don't forget that it was in that same year when this meeting of all the representatives of the kings from the region took place in Zedekiah's palace. The tension and turmoil of those years are also related to conventions of the presence of Ezekiel in the Babylonian exile, which were devoted to the events taking place in Judah. There are clear connections between the events of the 4th year of Zedekiah's rule and the first meeting described in Ezekiel, apparently on the 5th of Tammuz, which is July 593 BCE. The fact that a marked part of Ezekiel's prophecies dealt with what was transpiring in Judah indicates that the messages were sent and messengers and letters were exchanged between the exiles in Babylon and the people in Jerusalem, just like we already saw from the description of the letter that Jeremiah sent to the exiles in Babylon. It seemed that the exiles were involved in the disputes among the various groups in Judah and sent a clear message that loyalty to Babylon must be preserved. Under the reign of Psametichu II, Egypt began to firmly establish its status in the land of Israel, Transjordan, and the Phoenician coast. The regional anti-Babylonian treaty began to materialize, and there was a feeling among the kingdoms of the region that Babylonian authority began to be unstable. Similarly, neither Nebuchadnezzar's attempt to stabilize his reign through campaigns held in the beginning and the end of 594 BCE, nor the additional campaigns that were probably conducted in the subsequent years, for which we have no information, were of any benefit. The real threat to Babylonian rule increased steadily in 589 BCE with the succession of Khofra in Egypt. Nebuchadnezzar understood that this required a change in Babylonian governing arrangements in all the region, which could no longer rely on the loyalty of the vassal kingdoms that continued to exist in the region, and that he would do well to be more involved in events and more aggressive in his activity against centers of instability in the region. This is a background to the change in the Babylonian policy from semi-independent vassal kingdoms to provinces whose fealty to the Babylonian authority was guaranteed by direct Babylonian rule and continuous presence of Babylonian troops and administration. During the next 18 years, the Babylonians led a series of actions that stabilized their authority in the region and effectively abolished the existence of vassal kingdoms. As a result, the Babylonians established their full domination to the border of Egypt, positioning themselves as a constant threat for an invasion to Egypt. The absence of Babylonian chronicles for this period of time makes it difficult to reconstruct historical events. However, the crisis that took place in Hatulen during this time period also has archaeological evidence. It seems that Judah was the first goal of the Babylonians. Afterwards, apparently in 585 BCE, Nebuchadnezzar attacked Tyre and Sidon, putting a closure on Tyre that lasted for around 13 years. The closure came to an end in 572 BCE when the king of Tyre, probably Etbaal III, was deported to Babylon. Apparently, during the years of siege against Tyre, the Babylonians also attacked Ammon and Moab and established their rule also over Gaza, Ashdod, and in the north on Arvad. It means that during this period, the Babylonians evinced a different attitude toward the kingdoms of Philistia, which were conquered and turned into Babylonian provinces, and those on the Phoenician coast, which although their fate is unclear, it appears that during most of the Babylonian rule, certainly during under Persian rule, were ruled by kings. The reason for this is Philistia's strategic importance as the gateway to Egypt and the necessity for Babylonians to maintain control over the region. Likewise, the continued instability in Philistia, the close ties and the loyalty to Egypt, as well as the intensive Egyptian activity that continued in the region throughout the period, all required the Babylonians to strengthen their control by conquering and subjugating the region. In contrast, there was less of an Egyptian threat on the Phoenician coast, while Babylon's economic interests were considerable. A generous measure of political and military autonomy was essential to maintaining commerce in the region, including trade with Egypt. The Babylonians could profit by this trade, particularly through taxation and control of centers of commerce. Now, we are ready to move on and focus on the Babylonian campaign against Judah and the destruction of Jerusalem. The geopolitical and historical background should be clear now. The chronological order of the events should be well known, and we can zoom in and move to the detailed description of the events in Judah.